We would like to welcome you to Love Beauty School Incorporated today. My name is Miss Tanya, and I will be going through this PowerPoint with you. The purpose of this PowerPoint is to give you more information in regards to our campus security policy as well as campus crime statistics, along with awareness and prevention. This will help to ensure we are meeting the requirements of the Jean Cleary Act. If at any time you have questions during this PowerPoint, please raise your hand and we will pause to take those. The purpose of today's presentation is to educate our students as well as our staff. We want to talk to you about Drug and Alcohol Abuse Prevention Program, VAWA, which is otherwise known as Violence Against Women's Acts, as well as raise awareness and prevent crimes as well as domestic abuse and more. Knowledge is power. You can find policies related to campus security, crime statistics, VAWA, and more at lovebeautyschool.net. This will be located under the Student Right to Know tab, which can be found in the Enrollment section. Under the Student Right to Know tab, you will find a lot of beneficial information. Two of the most important documents that are found on this website will be your student catalog as well as your Consumer Information Handbook. These documents contain the policies that are required to be distributed to you. Upon enrollment, during your orientation, you are required to sign a document that says you will get on our website, you will review these policies, and you will adhere to them. There are many other topics under Student Right to Know, but these are two of the most important. Part of drug and alcohol abuse prevention is that we notify you of our school policy. On this slide, we see a screenshot taken from the student catalog that is published on our school website. This slide talks about zero tolerance. Love Beauty School Incorporated has a zero tolerance policy. Our school is drug-free, and we do not allow alcohol, drugs, or weapons of any kind on our premises. We also don't allow students under the influence of drugs on the premises either. No sexual harassment or any type of harassment involving race, religion, or gender will be tolerated. Any student or staff member in violation of this agreement will be terminated immediately. This is the only warning given, and it will be strictly enforced. So again, as a reminder, this can be found in our student catalog. The school holds a zero tolerance policy. No drugs or alcohol are allowed on our premises or weapons, and if you violate this policy, you will be terminated. To continue with drug and alcohol prevention, we want to talk to you about statistics. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration's National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 23.5 million people aged 12 or older needed treatment for an illicit drug or alcohol abuse problem in 2009. However, only 11.2% of those who received the needed treatment actually got it. Although this is an extremely sensitive topic, we understand that you may not always want to come and speak to a member of the staff, a classmate, a family member, or even a coworker. We do hold an open door policy, so we are available. If you are not comfortable speaking with us, we can recommend a pastor or a counselor, but sometimes even that can be too embarrassing. We do, however, provide counseling numbers in our Consumer Information Handbook, and we want to provide you with more here. The Bradford Health Center is located in Manchester. The number is 931-728-4442, and the number to Centerstone in Tullahoma is 931-461-1300. We hope that if you yourself are in need of help, or if you know someone that needs help, that you would put these numbers to good use. Maybe you don't need them, but you could always share them with a loved one who does. Again, there is more information available at lovebeautyschool.net, including campus crime statistics as well as policies related to the Violence Against Women's Act. You will also find FERPA as well as GE information and the net price calculator. Please always refer back to this website during your enrollment at Love Beauty School to ensure you are up to date with the most recent policies. Here you will see the first of a 4-page document. This is our campus crime statistics and security policies. This document was taken from our Consumer Information Handbook, and that can be found on our school website at www.lovebeautyschool.net. This document will give you extremely important information as far as who to report crimes to, contact information, as well as any other procedures that need to be followed. On the second page of this document, it continues to discuss extremely important information. It also gives you a link back to the website and discusses VAWA, off-campus student organizations, as well as the policy on drugs and alcohol. And although we have already gone over these, it can never be said too many times. It is zero tolerance. We also give you information about the emergency response program. It's important to review this document again to familiarize yourself with the policies and procedures of your school. This is the third page of the document. This portion describes logs regarding crime, fire, incidents, and accidents. At any time information is presented to the school, we have to log it. It also describes sex offenders in the area. If you wish to find this information, the link is provided for you. It discusses emergency evacuation as well as missing persons. This is the fourth and final page of the document. This is in regards to the Violence Against Women's Act, otherwise known as VAWA. Information in regards to this can be found on our school website at lovebeautyschool.net under the Student Right to Know tab. VAWA is to promote awareness of rape, acquaintance rape, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. You will also notice that all of these are prohibited at our school campus. For more information on this, please visit the website and look under policies related to VAWA requirements. In order to provide you a summary of the topics discussed so far in relation to campus crime, we just want to remind you that the purpose of this is because we are required to publish this information per the Department of Education and the Jean Cleary Act. Remember that there is a link to the statistics on the school website. If you happen to witness a crime or you're the victim of a crime, please complete a campus crime report within 24 hours and maintain any and all evidence you can. Again, there is much more information on our school website at lovebeautyschool.net. This is a brief summary of items discussed so far. Moving forward, we're going to discuss VAWA. Again, this is known as the Violence Against Women's Act. It is prohibited at our institution, and it's going to cover domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, rape, as well as acquaintance rape. We did discuss this briefly. However, we're going to dig into these topics a bit further in order to promote awareness and in hopes to prevent any future crime. Here you will see the first page of our policies regarding VAWA. This is about a 5-page document, and it is published on our school website under Student Right to Know. Again, that website is lovebeautyschool.net. You will hover over the Enrollment Financial Aid tab, and it will pull up a drop-down menu where you can select Student Right to Know and then policies related to the Violence Against Women's Act. In this document, we will provide you with the actual crimes. We will provide you with the definitions of what they mean. We will also provide you a definition to what consent means. It's important that you read over this and make sure you have a good understanding. The second page of this document will continue to discuss the crimes that are related to VAWA as well as their definition. It touches briefly on bystander intervention, which we will cover in more detail over the next few slides, but it also looks at risk reduction. It's important that you could recognize the physical signs of abuse. Please take time to review these and familiarize yourself with them. At the top of page 3, it ends with the last few signs of physical abuse that were carried over from page 2. This part begins to discuss sanctions for people who commit crimes, as well as more information for the victims. It will also begin to discuss the procedures that will be taken once a crime report has been filed and how both parties will be notified. Please read over these and familiarize yourself with each one. Page 4 discusses how we as an institution would handle such an investigation. It also discusses what we would do in the event if a person were to be found guilty of what he or she was accused of. In addition, it talks about how we would notify each party, which would be in writing, and it also talks about protecting the confidentiality of the victim as well as the accused where we were able to do so. Please familiarize yourself with this information. In the final page of the document, we do provide you a few more links that could be of your assistance if you happen to be the victim of a crime. In addition to that, we do not offer on-campus housing or transportation, but I have provided you with a couple phone numbers that would also be of benefit to you. The Haven of Hope in Manchester at 931-728-1133 would be a good resource to find out more information on housing as well as a variety of other services. Public transportation is available at 931-455-1787. Please take time to review this information. Maybe you don't need it, but someone you love or a good friend might. Before we move into the last segment of the PowerPoint, known as bystander intervention, what to do if you were to witness a crime, we just wanted to remind you that there is always someone you can talk to. We have provided counseling numbers in the Consumer Information Handbook, and this is published at our school website under Student Right to Know. But here are a couple more. RAIN, which is a national organization about sexual assault as well as other sexual-related crimes. That number is 1-800-656-HOPE. And then also the Haven of Hope for a second time. Their number is 931-728-1133. Feel free to take down these numbers or see me after class if you need more information. Okay, so at this point we've talked about the many different crimes that could take place as well as what to do in the event. But now we want to talk to you about a very important topic, and that is bystander intervention. Over the next few slides, we're going to give you some positive and safe actions that you can take to help prevent a crime from actually taking place. Now here at Love Beauty School Incorporated, we are extremely blessed. We have not had any type of campus crime of this nature. But again, as a safety measure, the Department of Education encourages and requires all schools to provide this information, and we hope that it will be helpful to you. One of the most important things that you will need to know in the hope to prevent a crime is how to recognize, 1, that a crime is about to occur, 2, the warning signs, 3, what intervention is actually needed, and 4, what are the strategies for a safe intervention. What is the definition of consent? Here we will discuss a few topics that will help make this more understandable. 1, consent must be voluntary. This means that it is freely given. This is not something that could be obtained by coercion or force. 2, consent is only active. If you are unconscious, asleep, or incapacitated by drugs or alcohol, then you are not able to consent. Consent needs to be informed, meaning that just because you consented to one intimate act, it does not imply that you have consented to others. Being informed means that you and your partner know what you are consenting or agreeing to beforehand. Clear words and actions are another way to determine if consent has actually been given. Even if you did not say no, it does not mean that you consented. Remember, Consent must be active and involve clear words or actions. You should always get clear information or affirmation and never assume consent. Finally, engaged permission. Just because you have consented to one act in the past does not mean that you have consented to it in the future. Just because you are in a relationship with someone doesn't mean that you or your partner have consented to sexual activity. You should always ask for permission to engage in mutually agreed upon sexual activity.
Miss Tanya.
What is acquaintance rape? 90% of college women who were victim of attempted or completed rape knew their attacker. The idea that sexual assault and or rape is only committed by a stranger is completely a myth. Acquaintance rape is far more common than attacks by strangers. Acquaintance rape is not an accident. The perpetrator will often choose the target carefully and plan the assault involving 3 different stages. Stage 1 is considered to be intrusion. This is an accidental touch or a stare. Stage 2 is desensitization. The target will typically dismiss their uneasy feelings. So because they feel comfortable with the offender, they consider the intrusive actions less threatening and they dismiss their feelings of unease. And then the third and final stage is isolation. They will separate the target from others. Maybe that means asking them outside to talk or, whatever their method may be. The ultimate goal is to get them alone. It's important that you understand acquaintance rape. It's also important that you understand these stages. This will overall help you in assisting someone who could possibly be the victim or, again, intervening to prevent altogether. Attitudes that enable sexual assault. Victim blaming. This is where we would place partial or complete blame for the assault on the victim. Things that could be said would be things like the victim had been drinking, or they were asking for it by being flirtatious or wearing revealing clothing, or they're probably lying about the assault altogether. Rape myths. The idea that real rape is only committed by a stranger who ambushes a woman unexpectedly. Studies have shown that most men disagree with such attitudes, but they're afraid to speak out for fear that other men won't support them. So in their desire to conform, they just stay silent. However, silence encourages harmful behavior. The purpose of this PowerPoint was to overall educate you, give you information, and remember knowledge is power. But we wanted to cover how you could safely intervene. So here we dig a little bit deeper about how to do that. So at this slide, we take a look at how to prevent sexual assault as a bystander. 1, you need to notice the event. 2, you need to identify it as an emergency. 3, you can take responsibility. 4, decide how to help. And then ultimately, you should act safely to intervene. How can I intervene safely? You could step in and ask if the person needed help. You could not leave the area. Typically, when there are witnesses around, crimes are less likely to occur. You should always have a buddy system and let your friend know if you're worried about them. Ask directly, do you need a ride? A lot of times this will take the attention off the perpetrator and give your friend or the individual an opportunity to escape the situation. Find that person's friends or call 911. If you feel at any time your safety is in danger or theirs is in immediate danger and it can't be prevented, you should always call 911. Distract the perpetrator so that there's time to intervene. There are 3 D's as a way to remember. You should direct, delegate, and distract. I now want to talk to you about something known as the bystander effect. And amazingly enough, the more people who are there to witness a situation where someone needs help, the less likely it is that someone will actually intervene. A person's feeling of responsibility is not as strong when that responsibility is shared by others. So we kind of think, well, I see this is going on. but they'll take care of it. And this is known as the bystander effect. A good example is the infamous Ohio rape case. I do want to tell you the story to help you better understand. A 16-year-old teenage girl went to a summer party in a small town where there were about 50 teenagers. There were no adults, and there was plenty of alcohol. Before the party, this girl had been flirting by text and tweet with a football player named Trent. She had a bottle of vodka that she used to spike a slushie on the way to the party, and over the course of the night, she became extremely intoxicated. When that party broke up, she got in the car with a group of boys, including Trent, and went to another party where she became sick. She doesn't remember anything after that until she woke up the next morning naked. The electronic trail of what happened after proved 2 football players guilty of rape. One photo on Instagram showed the 2 boys carrying the unconscious girl by the wrist and ankles. Someone tweeted, "If they're getting raped and don't resist, then to me it's not rape. I feel bad for her, but still." None of the teenagers at the party reported what happened, but the girl's parents eventually got a hold of the cell phone video of Trent, who is obviously drunk, laughing uncontrollably as he says, "You don't need foreplay with a dead girl. She is so raped right now." His audience laughs along with him for more than 12 minutes. The girl's parents reported the incident to the police. Malik Richmond and Trent Mays were tried as juveniles. Richmond was convicted of rape and sentenced to 1 year in juvenile detention. Mays was convicted of rape and disseminating child pornography and sentenced to 2 years in juvenile detention and ordered to register as a sex offender for 20 years. How being aware of the bystander effect would change your reaction to a situation is important, because you now understand that even though there's a lot of people around that feel like something may be wrong, it is ultimately your responsibility to step up and say something, especially now that you know about this. So again, just remember, the more witnesses there are, the less likely it is that someone will intervene. Now that you've known about this, hopefully this will not take place in a situation where you're present. These are some things to think about. What are some reasons that someone might not intervene in a situation? Well, we talked about the bystander effect, and we know that a lot of times when there's more than one person present, the feeling of responsibility lessens. Maybe they don't understand that something's going on. Maybe they aren't able to recognize that there's a crime getting ready to take place. Maybe they're afraid for their own safety, and maybe they're afraid that it will cause it to be worse. What can we do as a campus to overcome these barriers to intervention and create a more supportive campus climate? Well, by showing this PowerPoint, we feel that we have provided you a lot of knowledge and a lot of information. We have provided counseling numbers. Our policies and procedures are in place. And ultimately, we have an open door policy at our school. Although we have been blessed to not have any situations like this, we still have to take proactive approaches in the event that they could take place. But with an open door policy, students tend to feel more comfortable talking to us, and our students tend to be more comfortable with each other. Hopefully in the future, if something were to ever occur, they would have enough of a relationship or enough of a feeling of responsibility to step in and intervene. And we hope that we have helped you in some type of way by providing you this information today. We'd like to thank you today for joining us for this PowerPoint presentation. Again, the goal is to prevent campus crime. If you witness or are the victim, make sure you report it to the school immediately, as well as appropriate authorities. Read all details of policies and procedures to be sure that you understand what to do in the event that this should occur. Remember, your student catalog, Consumer Information Handbook, as well as VAWA related material are all found under the Student Right to Know tab at lovebeautyschool.net. Thank you again.